He used to call me his shadow. That's what my older brother, Ryan, told people whenever they asked why I followed him everywhere as kids. Ethan's my shadow, he'd laugh. He'd disappear if I wasn't around. Back then, I thought it was love. I didn't realize shadows only exist because someone else blocks the light. My name is Ethan Carter, and 3 years ago, my own brother destroyed my life with one lie. But what he didn't know was that I was paying attention. And when the time came, I made sure everyone he manipulated turned against him, including the people he trusted most. It started with our father's company. Carter Logistics wasn't massive, but in Chicago it mattered. My dad built it from one delivery truck into a regional shipping business worth millions. Ryan was supposed to inherit it. Everyone knew that. He was confident, charming, loud. I was quieter, better with numbers, systems. Dad used to say Ryan could sell fire to the devil, but I could keep the flames alive. For years, that balance worked. Until Dad got sick. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. The kind that doesn't leave room for miracles. The hospital smell still haunts me sometimes. Bleach, coffee, fear. One night, Dad grabbed my wrist while Ryan was outside taking a phone call. His voice was weak. "Don't let him ruin this company." I frowned. "What do you mean?" Dad looked toward the door. "He wants power more than responsibility." I didn't know what to say. Before I could ask more, Ryan walked back in smiling, and Dad never brought it up again. He died 2 weeks later. At the funeral, Ryan cried louder than anyone. People hugged him, praised him, called him strong. I stood beside the casket, feeling numb, while my brother accepted sympathy like applause. 3 days later, he became CEO, and that's when everything changed. At first, it was subtle. Ryan started excluding me from meetings. Then he reassigned my staff. Then he began questioning every financial report I touched. One afternoon, he walked into my office holding a folder. "You forgot to sign these invoices." I looked up. I already approved them digitally. He tossed them onto my desk. Mistakes like this make people nervous. Something about the way he smiled made my stomach tighten. Over the next few months, strange things kept happening. Missing funds, incorrect transfers, vendor complaints, and somehow, every trail pointed back to me. At first, I thought it was coincidence. Then, our accountant Melissa stopped answering my emails. Coworkers avoided eye contact. Even longtime employees whispered when I walked past. One morning, HR called me into a conference room. Ryan was sitting there. So was a lawyer. I immediately felt cold. The lawyer slid papers across the table. "We've discovered evidence of financial fraud tied to offshore accounts." I stared at him. "What?" Ryan leaned back slowly. God knows I tried. My chest tightened. "You think I stole from the company?" He sighed dramatically. "The evidence is ugly." Then he pushed forward printed bank statements. My name was on them. Transfers totaling nearly $400,000. I felt dizzy. "That's impossible." Ryan shook his head sadly. "You were always jealous." I looked at him in disbelief. Jealous? This psychopath had planned everything. The lawyer spoke again. "If you cooperate quietly, the company won't pursue criminal charges." I realized then what Ryan wanted. Not justice. Erasure. He wanted me gone, and he wanted everyone to believe I deserved it. I lost everything in a week. My job, my reputation, friends, even my fiancée left. Claire sat across from me in our apartment, unable to meet my eyes. "Tell me the truth." I already did. "Did you steal the money?" "No. But the documents, they're fake." She looked exhausted. I don't know what to believe anymore. That hurt more than anything. Not anger, not betrayal, doubt. A week later she moved out. I spent months alone in a tiny apartment above a laundromat, wondering how my life collapsed so fast. Then one night, I noticed something strange. I was reviewing copies of the fake bank statements again when I saw a timestamp inconsistency. One transfer had been created from an internal company IP address, not an external bank portal. Someone inside Carter Logistics fabricated the records. And suddenly, I knew Ryan made a mistake. Because Ryan was arrogant. Arrogant people always leave fingerprints. I started digging quietly. Old contacts still trusted me, especially people Ryan treated badly. One of them was Marcus from IT. We met at a bar outside downtown. He kept glancing around nervously. If Ryan finds out I talked to you, I'm screwed. Just tell me the truth. Marcus took a sip of whiskey. Your account was accessed multiple times after midnight. My pulse quickened. By who? He hesitated, then slid over a flash drive. Don't mention my name. I plugged it into my laptop later that night. Inside were server logs, security records, deleted access histories, and one username kept appearing, Ryan.CarterAdmin. I stared at the screen for a long time, not because I was shocked, because I finally had proof. But proof alone wasn't enough. Ryan controlled the company. The board trusted him. If I accused him directly, he'd bury me again. No. I needed something bigger. I needed everyone to see who he really was. So I became patient. For 6 months, I watched, listened, collected, and what I discovered was worse than I imagined. Ryan wasn't just framing me. He was bleeding the company dry. Secret accounts, fake vendors, kickback deals. He was stealing millions. Idea. That's when I made my decision. I wasn't going to clear my name. I was going to destroy his. The opportunity came during the company's 25th anniversary gala. Big event. Investors, board members, media. Ryan loved attention, so naturally he planned a huge speech about family legacy. I almost laughed when I saw the invitation online. Family legacy. Right. A week before the gala, I contacted someone unexpected. Claire. We met at a quiet cafe. She looked nervous seeing me again. You look different. I am different. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Then I handed her documents. Real financial records. Hidden transfers. Evidence. Her face slowly changed. Oh my God. You left because you thought I lied. She swallowed hard. Did Ryan do this? Yes. She looked sick. I'm so sorry. I should have hated her, but honestly, Ryan manipulated everyone. That was his gift. I leaned closer. I need your help. The night of the gala arrived. Crystal chandeliers, expensive suits, fake smiles. Ryan stood on stage laughing with investors like a king among followers. I watched from the back entrance wearing a black suit nobody recognized. Claire stood beside me, nervous. You sure about this? I looked toward my brother. No. Then I smiled slightly. But he should be. Ryan eventually stepped onto the stage. The room quieted. He raised a glass. My father believed family was the foundation of success. Interesting choice of words. I nodded toward Claire. That was the signal. She walked to the media control booth. 30 seconds later, the projector behind Ryan flickered. He frowned. Seems we're having technical. Then the screen changed. Bank records appeared. Secret transactions. Shell companies. Wire transfers. Ryan froze. The room went silent. People started whispering. Then came the emails. Real emails. Ryan threatening employees. Manipulating accounts. Ordering fake evidence creation. His face lost all color. What is this? He snapped. I stepped forward from the crowd. It's the truth. Every head turned toward me. Ryan stared like he'd seen a ghost. You. I kept walking. You framed me. Board members looked confused. Investors exchanged nervous glances. I pulled out printed server logs. Your admin account created the fake transfers. Ryan laughed suddenly. Desperate. This is insane. But then another voice interrupted. Marcus. He stood near the back. I backed up the logs before they were deleted. Ryan's confidence cracked. Fast. Board member Linda Chavez grabbed the papers from my hand. As she flipped through them, her expression darkened. You stole company funds. Ryan snapped. You don't understand. How much? She shouted. Silence. Then someone else spoke. Jesus Christ. The investors were reading the numbers now. Millions. Ryan looked around, realizing the room was turning against him. And for the first time in his life, charm wasn't enough. He tried to run. Literally. Ryan moved toward the side exit, but security stopped him. People were yelling now. Questions everywhere. Phones recording. One investor screamed about federal investigations. Another demanded police involvement. Ryan looked at me with pure hatred. This was you. I stepped closer. You taught me something, brother. His jaw tightened. What? I looked him directly in the eyes. People believe lies when the liar is confident. Then I smiled coldly. So I made sure they saw yours. The aftermath was brutal. Federal investigators uncovered massive fraud. Ryan was arrested within 2 weeks. The story exploded online. Local news stations called it one of the biggest corporate scandals in the state. And suddenly, everyone who abandoned me came back. Former coworkers apologized. Friends claimed they always doubted Ryan. Even Claire tried to reconnect. But betrayal changes you. Once trust breaks, it never returns the same. A month later, the board contacted me. They wanted me back. Not just as an employee, as CEO. I almost said no. That building held too many ghosts. I remembered my father in that hospital bed. Don't let him ruin this company. So I accepted. Not for revenge, not for pride, for him. 6 months later, I visited Ryan in prison. People told me not to go, but I needed to see him one last time. He walked into the visitation room, looking thinner, older, angrier. For a moment, we just stared at each other through the glass. Then, he picked up the phone. You think you won? I picked up mine calmly. No. He smirked bitterly. You're still my shadow. I almost laughed. Then I leaned forward. No, Ryan. I looked him dead in the eyes. You were standing in my light. And for the first time, since childhood, my brother had nothing to say. If there's one thing I learned from betrayal, it's this. The most dangerous enemies aren't strangers. They're the people who know exactly how to break you, because they helped build you first. But sometimes, the only way to survive betrayal is to become stronger than the person who caused it. And when the time comes, make sure the truth hurts more than the lie ever did.